Terence Crawford's name has been called out by so many fighters, but Terence has responded to a fight offer from Canelo Alvarez. After Terence's fight with Errol Spence, everyone's been calling him out, and Terence has even opened up about a few fights that would interest him. Terence stated, "Now that fight with Ennis could happen because we're at the same weight class, but at this point in time, I'm looking for bigger and better opportunities like Jermell Charlo. I gave him a little peace of mind. We've been going back for some time and I was in the moment. I just thought to let him know that I'm coming for him too. I really don't care for dude. I wouldn't say that I don't like him because I have no reason not to like him. Personally, I just don't care for him." In fact, Terence made sure to call out Jermell Charlo after his fight against Errol Spence, and he didn't care who saw him do it. Crawford has definitely set his limits when it comes to which weight classes he'd want to move to, and he stated, "I would say 154 is my highest weight class, realistically. Those boys get big up there, and I'm not a person to toot my own horn too loud to be able to say, oh, I could beat the world. I understand there are weight classes for a reason, and I respect the weight classes. Yeah, I think 154 will be my max, given the age. I'm about to be 36 years old in September. Gotta take that into consideration as well." It seems as though a lot of people want to see Terence fight Canelo Alvarez, but a lot of pros don't think that that's a fair matchup. Shakur Stevenson stated, "Terence Crawford is running things right now. As for who he should face next, I would love to see him go up against Charlo. Even though Charlo is already lined up against Canelo, I genuinely believe Crawford could beat Canelo. Being a southpaw with good movement and solid boxing, it'd be tough for Canelo to walk Crawford down and load up on his powerful hooks. I wish Charlo wasn't fighting against Canelo, but it is what it is. I think Bud could beat Canelo. I'd like to see it just because I know, I don't think size wins fights. I think skills do. So I think Bud could beat Canelo." Shane Mosley definitely believes that Canelo is simply too big for Crawford. Shane stated, "I think Canelo would be a little too big for Bud. If Canelo and Bud were the same size, Bud would have the advantage, but I think Canelo has the advantage because he's really a lot bigger than Bud. He's too powerful and fast for Bud and Canelo. I would have to say Canelo in that situation, but I wouldn't say he's a better fighter than Bud. I just think he's bigger." Andre Berto believes that Terence could potentially take on Canelo after a fight against Jermell Charlo. Andre stated, "I say Jermell Charlo for the 154-pound undisputed titles. After that, Canelo, then goodbye to boxing. That's a $100 million play. People saying that Crawford is way too small for Canelo don't know about boxing. They say the same about Floyd versus Canelo. You have to understand that Canelo isn't a huge guy. He's small for 168. Crawford is taller, has a longer reach, and has room to fill out. Skills pay the bills, though." People believe that Errol Spence might try to go for an immediate rematch before anything, but it looks like Stephen A. Smith thinks that Crawford should wait a bit before taking that on.
A matter of fact, let me make a plea over the international digital airwaves of YouTube. Let me make a plea right now to Terence Crawford. I understand you just beat him. You beat him thoroughly. You're the undisputed welterweight champion of the world, the WBO, the WBA, the WBC, the IBF titles, but you hugged him after the fight for a reason. I am making a plea to Terence Crawford. Even if you elect to give Errol Spence Jr. a rematch, please do not do this for at least a year. Please don't do that.
Before Canelo could potentially fight Crawford, he has to get past the fighter that Crawford really wants to fight, Jermell Charlo. That's a fight that has pros and fans divided though, so Terence could potentially end up fighting whoever wins that bout. Jose Benavidez Sr. stated, "Jermell, I don't think. Now that's a different situation there. Every time I see him, he's always drinking and he's going through a lot of things in his life. That's what I hear," said Benavidez Sr. "I don't know, it seems like it. He hasn't fought for almost 2-3 years, so there has to be something going on there. I think his brother Jermell has a better chance of beating Canelo Alvarez. I think Jermell, he definitely gets stopped by Canelo Alvarez in my opinion." Terence definitely believes that Canelo will end up beating Jermell in their match. Terence stated, 168 pounds? I ain't going up there. Definitely Canelo wins. If they're fighting at 168 pounds, definitely. Tim Tszyu wasn't too happy about the announcement of the fight, but he definitely thinks that Canelo will end up winning. Tim stated, "I was at home, saw it on Instagram and thought, nah, they're taking a piss, aren't they? Then I went to Canelo's page and it said undisputed versus undisputed. I thought, what? Straight away I called my manager, but nobody picked up. So I called the promoter and they explained, then my manager explains. I was in a state of shock, couldn't believe it. But after a few days of that anger, I moved on. When one door closes, another opens, and I'm 100% positive there are bigger things on the horizon than little Charlo. I feel like once he gets into the ring against Canelo, he'll be stripped straight away. I think that fight's undisputed versus undisputed. It's the marketing part of the fight, and we all know that's how this boxing game works. But I will be the WBO world champion afterwards, 100% guaranteed." Canelo definitely seems ready for his fight against Jermell, and he even sent a stone-cold message to him. Canelo stated, "Let me tell you one thing, I don't need to get ready because I'm always ready." Bob Arum doesn't think the fight will go the distance, and he put his prediction in too. Bob stated, "Well, Canelo will beat him easily. Charlo's not little Charlo? No. Canelo will probably knock him out in 6 or 7 rounds." Jermell swears that he's been ready to fight Canelo at any time though.
I'm ready to fight Canelo at any given time. Yeah. Even though I'm undisputed and got mandatories all over the place, I'll fight Canelo just so they can shut that up.
In fact, Jermell thinks that he hits way harder than Canelo can. Jermell stated, "I believe I got the speed. I got the power. I know one thing about it is Canelo, he's strong. I feel like I'm probably a bigger puncher than Canelo. That's going to be the surprise. I'm not just a little 154 pounder when I walk around, and I don't have to struggle to make 168, so I'm gonna have a great time. Training camp has been good. I've already been training for months." Sean Porter doesn't see Jermell being a problem for Canelo either, and he stated, "When you look at experience, when you look at the fact that Canelo has been multidimensional throughout his career, you look at the fact that he has the work rate. We're looking at a right hand from Jermell Charlo, and if that right hand doesn't land between rounds 1 and 8, it probably won't land at all, and Canelo will win this fight. I don't see him losing to Charlo." Considering the fact that Charlo could potentially end up fighting whoever wins that match, Crawford has already given an answer on whether he would fight Canelo. Crawford stated, "No, not at all. Canelo really doesn't interest me because of the size factor. You don't know what weight Canelo's fighting at when he fights." As for what's next for Terence, he stated that he's looking to answer a potential rematch if Errol Spence asks for it, and says what he'd do after that. Crawford stated, "That's my obligation in the contract, and I gotta honor that if that's the next move for me in my career. I would definitely choose Jermell Charlo. It's a meaningful fight, it's more history, it's more on the table." If you enjoyed this video, make sure to subscribe and check out some of our other videos on the screen right now.